Ed DeRosa live with you in the Turfway Park paddock, the stakes paddock. The Battaglia Memorial Stakes up next. Kentucky Derby points on the line, 10 to the winner, 4 2 and 1 down to fourth, and an exciting race. It ends. The pick five kicks off the late pick four, and I do want to pay some bills for my employer, Twinspires. If you haven't already, go to twinspires.com/offers and opt in because we have an extra $1,000 up for grabs on this late pick four that starts here, and I'm going to try to start it with the positive choice, or with the popular choice myself, which would be positive for me and his connections if he were to get the job done. Likely 2-year-old champion in Canada, Sovereign Award awaits. Gretzky the Great, Grade 1 winner of the Summer Stakes last year at Woodbine, was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Took some money in that field against 13 others and was 7 to 1. Well meant for sure from the Cassie barn. Didn't get the job done that day, but has really been steady in all 5 of his career starts that include 3 wins. Was 1 to 2 in breaking the maiden, then the 2 stakes wins. A lot to like class-wise. Towers on that level using the Brisnet class ratings. It's the prime power selection as well, and just think absolutely the horse to beat here. It does come down to price. What percentage of the time does Gretzky the Great get the job done, and do the win odds compensate you accordingly? Right now, I would maybe lean toward no. Seems to be an underlay in the win pool, so that does make him a tough single in the pick four as well. We do like a couple horses in races 6 and 7, seventh being the Trophy Stakes. So maybe a multiple ticket approach where if Gretzky the Great wins, you need some prices elsewhere. And if you get through this with a price, you can lean on some of the logicals elsewhere. But definitely don't want to put myself in a position where I'm looking at a chalked out pick four. But Gretzky the Great, certainly the one to beat. Thrilled to have him here at Turfway chasing those Kentucky Derby points, and understandable why he is the favorite. And again, to me, the horse to beat in my on-top selection. I do like a horse underneath that figures to be a price, though, as we move from the inside to the far outside, getting to draw in for trainer Darren Miller. And Paige is stuck together again. I'm going to have to invest in some paper clips here. Number 13, Bakwana, is absolutely a play for me drawing in, and should get the right price, and encouraged that Rodney Prescott decided to stay aboard Bakwana. He actually had the option to ride the horse who beat Bakwana last out, and opted to ride the Darren Miller horse who he was on when runner-up. Deshaun Parker now in the 9, but this one at a decent price I absolutely thinks is a use. Did close into what Brisnet called a fast pace when stretching out to a mile and a 16th last out. That just shows me he can handle the distance. I think we'll get a spirited pace here. Now, track did seem to play forward maybe earlier, but we have seen some closers in the last 2, and with that outside post, really just if Rodney can find a seam, save a little ground, and come with his run, I think Bakwana could have a big say in this one late. Another big price as we move from the outside back down to the inside is the Deuce, the Predicament. This horse, when I last looked, was 70 to 1, and that is way too high. He probably won't be there. Interesting that came back and sprinted 3 straight times here at Turfway. Finally did break the maiden going 6, but connections Tim Ham, who I know well from growing up at Thistledown, saw fit to stretch this one out in his 3rd, 4th, and 5th career starts. That didn't work out on Tapeta at Presque Isle, but some decent efforts in those races. Now gets Rafael Hernandez, who I think is a more than capable pilot at a price, and we're certainly getting a big price on the Predicament. I think he is worthy to be in the mix here. Do want to mention number 4, Like the King, who certainly is the alternative if you're not on Gretzky the Great. Seems to be taking the money, has the highest Brisnet speed rating last out with a 91 in that entry-level allowance race back in December. He's been at Keeneland, does have a couple published workouts. He could be the main threat to our top pick, but we are sticking with the rail and with the Canadian champ, presumptive. That's number 1, Gretzky the Great. They're heading to the track for the Battaglia Memorial Stakes. Kentucky Derby points, a big purse, and stakes glory on the line. Good luck.
The horses are stepping trackside for race number 5 from Turfway Park. It's the 39th running of the John Battaglia Memorial. $100,000 guaranteed stake event for the 3-year-olds, again to travel on mile and 16th. Let's meet the field. Number 1, the Grade 1 winner, Gretzky the Great, owned by the Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners of Aaron Wellman in partnership with Gary Barber, trained by Mark Kessie, Gerardo Corrales, the rider. Number 2 is the Predicament, owned in partnership by Ram Spring Farm, Blazing Meadows Farm, trained by Tim Ham with Rafael Hernandez. The 3 is the highly touted Twirling Mamba, owned by Sandra Sexton in the Ortiz Racing Stables, LLC, trained by Johnny Ortiz with Alvin Jimenez. Number 4 will carry the silks of the M Racing Group. That's Like the King, trained by Wesley Ward, Rafael Bejarano in the saddle. Scratch number 5, Kinetic Sky. The 6 is Pico Duro, owned by the Sandin Syndicate, LLC, trained by Billy Morey with John McKee. Number 7, Hard Ride Guy, owned by the Bourbon Lane Stables, trained by Ian Wilkes, Chris Landeros in the tack. The 8, Hush of a Storm, another trained by Billy Morey, this one owned by Joseph Morey Jr. Revocable Trust, ridden by Santiago Gonzalez. Number 9 is Helen Alexander's Fort Moultrie, trained by Reeve McGahee, jockey switch to Deshaun Parker. Number 10, Notable Exception, owned by the Calumet Farm of Brad Kelly, trained by Jack Sisterson. Declan Cannon is wearing the black and the gold. Number 11, Catman, owned by the Paradise Farms Corp., David Staudacre, John Piowitz, Angelo Carlissimo, and Mike Maker, trained by Mike Maker with Manny Esquivel. Take out the 12, Warrior in Chief. The 13, Bakwina, carries the pink and black silks of the Silverton Hill, LLC, trained by Darren Miller, and the Gray Son of Gradar will be ridden by Rodney Prescott. That's the field for the 39th edition of the Battaglia. And they're off in the 39th running of the John Battaglia Memorial. For the lead from between horses, Pico Doro, but Gretzky the Great, the Grade 1 winner, will take it to him early, and Gretzky the Great leads the charge into the first turn. The Predicament away in the second position, up to the outside as they hit in that turn, now advancing. There goes Pico Doro. Meanwhile, the Predicament is back into third. Like the King, settles along in fourth, a length in front of Twirling Mamba, who is fifth. Up to the outside, Moultrie away in the sixth position. Bakwina is 3 deep on the course as they go to turn up the backside. Then comes Hush of a Storm, who's shaded by Notable Exception behind a quarter quick, 23 and 4. And Hard Ride Guy is at the back of the pack. Up the backside they go. And it's Gretzky the Great who shows the way. Pico Doro keyed up to the outside. Now these two are on even terms as they approach the half-mile pole. The Predicament races into third position. Like the King stalks from the outside fourth. Twirling Mamba perfectly placed behind that tempo from fifth. Then a link for the back to Fort Moultrie. Bakwina up the inside. Hush of a Storm starts to gain ground and catch the eye. Half mile 47 seconds flat. It's still Gretzky the Great and Pico Doro. These two continue to spar for the lead. Like the King is being turned on for some more speed. Whip comes out on the Predicament. Here comes Hush of a Storm, who's gaining ground as they race around the turn to the top of the home stretch. And Gretzky the Great will turn him in. Gretzky the Great off the turn by a length. Up to the outside, here's Like the King. 3 wide. Hush of a Storm is coming at him and coming on. Many chances as they're in the final furlong in the Battaglia. 3 across the course. Hush of a Storm in the middle. Like the King. Gretzky the Great being put to a test. Meanwhile, Hard Ride Guy tried to sneak through, but that hole got tightened. Hush of a Storm sweeping up, and Hush at the Storm. Hush of a Storm was best in the Battaglia. He stops the timer in 1:44 flat. To the winners of the 39th running of the John Battaglia Memorial, making the trophy presentation, Mr. Mike Battaglia. Accepting the trophy on behalf of number 8, Hush of a Storm and their connections, is winning trainer Billy Morey.